Let's talk about male suicide. Why are men killing themselves at such a high rate? We know the numbers, yet no one actually asks why. Now before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost. And subscribe to the channel if you like the content that I make. In 2019, 408 men and 116 women committed suicide in Ireland. Now 2019 is the last year we have accurate data for. The more recent years they're still trying to verify. Now that data is from the Central Statistics Office. That means 78% of suicide victims in Ireland are male. That's a male-female suicide ratio of 3.5 to 1. And this is actually rather interesting because that gender disparity in suicide has existed for many years. In the mid-70s, the ratio was 2.3 to 1. And this has increased since then. It increased to 3.4 to 1 during the period of 1985 to 1995. And it's pretty much the same now. So nothing has changed since then. Now the discrepancy in the suicide rates has never properly been investigated. Meaning the actual reasons for it, it's not known. But if we dig into the common risk factors for suicide among the general population, it starts to make sense. Now these risk factors are identified by various suicide prevention and support groups, like the Samaritans, or the National Suicide Research Foundation. And this reveals some of the risk factors that contribute to male suicide. These are unemployment, relationship breakdown, separation from children, low economic or financial status, and low education levels, to name but a few. Now, let's get into each one. First off, unemployment. Male unemployment rates are higher than the unemployment rates for women, and it has been so for many years, according to unemployment numbers from the CSO. Research has shown that the rates of depression increase after a layoff or redundancies, or a prolonged period of unemployment. According to the 2017 UK Samaritans report, the unemployed are 2 to 3 times more likely to commit suicide than the employed. Next up, relationship breakdown. According to the UK Office of National Statistics, relationship breakdown can contribute to suicide risk, and the highest suicide risk is among divorced men, who in 2015 were almost 3 times more likely to end their lives than those who were married or in a civil partnership. And there is evidence to suggest that there is an increased suicide risk among men who are divorced or are in the process of getting divorced. And this kind of leads into another issue, which is also a suicide risk, which is separation from children, which happens often in divorce cases or relationship breakdown. The risk of suicide increases in men after a relationship breakdown, especially when children are involved. Women receive custody in the vast majority of cases, which means men will have a heavily reduced access to their children. According to the 2012 Samaritans report, when marital relationships fail, men are less likely to be awarded custody of or have access to their children. Separation from children appears to be a significant factor in some men's suicides. In addition, men are more likely to be displaced from the family home and end up in unstable accommodation or homelessness itself a risk of suicide. And that does also lead on to homelessness, which is itself a risk of suicide. And it's also an area that men are the majority in. And it goes actually a lot deeper than that. Unmarried fathers have no automatic guardianship rights to their children, even though they're legally obliged to pay maintenance. Without those rights, thousands of fathers have no say in their child's education, in their religion, or even if they can or cannot be put up for adoption. The only way to obtain such rights is to obtain the consent of the mother to get those rights, to satisfy a 12-month cohabitation period with the mother, or to take a case to court, which they are likely to lose. The cohabitation clause was designed to safeguard against rapists and other abusive men from enjoying parental rights, which is fair enough. But in practice, every unmarried father is treated as though he might be a dangerous criminal. So much for innocent until proven guilty. Now, there's low economic or financial status is another risk of suicide. And the risk of suicide increases during times of economic or financial instability. Examples of this would be the increase of suicide during and after the 2008 economic recession. According to the 2017 UK Samaritans report, men are more vulnerable to the adverse effects of economic recession, including suicide risk, than women. And last, low education levels. There is a correlation between suicide and low education rates. The 2017 UK Samaritans report, which I will link below, I'll link all the sources I have for you, include school dropout in the list of specific life events which have a heightened risk of suicide. According to the Central Statistics Office data, men are behind at every level of the education system, and the gap is widening every year. And this isn't just in Ireland, by the way, it's across the Western world. So to conclude, in Ireland, at least one man kills himself every day. Across the world, a man dies by his own hand every minute. That's scary. Many of the issues that disproportionately impacts men are known factors in suicide in the general population. But yet there's no political will to tackle the issue at all. Instead, men are victim blamed for not talking about their problems, while simultaneously being told not to talk about their problems, as it would take a focus away from women's issues. And you wonder why men, psychologically, their mental health is so effed up. So what do you think? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. And like and subscribe if you like the content that I make. Male suicide is a very serious issue and it needs to be dealt with. Until we do, society will never be able to reach its full potential. Society, the future of society, is men and women working together. Always has been, and it always will be.